The Marvel Universe is a diverse location, housing many different heroes, villains, and other iconic characters. This includes people from the planet Earth, with many well-known characters such as Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, and more, but also characters like the Silver Surfer, a herald for Galactus who searches around the universe trying to find planets, or Thor, who actually lives outside of the universe, in Asgard. Since these characters are two cosmic titans with incredible powers, it's no surprise that it is a common debate to see who is stronger between the two of them. These two have also had many different fights in the comics, so while I will not be answering who would objectively win in a fight or anything, I will go over who has more wins, and I will have two lists, one including additionary context, and the other just being what I would consider a fair fight. This will be split into wins, losses, and inconclusives. This will only be considering the 616 comics and nothing else. Now, let's get into this. The first fight happens in Silver Surfer issue number 4. After Loki fights Surfer, and also goes on to say that Thor has more power than Silver Surfer, he gets the Silver Surfer to fight Thor by showing him a vision of Thor at war, and that this will doom everyone. Surfer gets convinced by this and decides to fight Thor. However, it is important to note that Loki actually amped Surfer here, giving his own energy on top of Surfer's, and in this story, Loki is explicitly shown as comparable to Surfer. Surfer attacks Thor first, hitting him with his surfboard. He then attacks many other Asgardians, but Thor pushes back Surfer with Mjolnir. Thor then absorbs attacks from Surfer, and after some slight interference from an Asgardian, Surfer dodges a Mjolnir throw from Thor. Surfer tries to use a cosmic blast to keep Mjolnir away from Thor, but Thor continues holding onto it. Surfer then notices his powers acting differently, and attacks Thor, successfully knocking him down. Surfer then removes Mjolnir from Thor's grasp, though after realizing Mjolnir's power is greater than his own use of the power cosmic, he deduces that Loki actually amped him. Despite trying to start a conversation, upon realizing he had been duped, Balder continues trying to attack Surfer, and Surfer responds with a potent warning shot. Thor then breaks the barrier Surfer created to contain Mjolnir, and Surfer theorizes that Thor was actually holding back in their fight due to suspecting that Surfer was tricked. Loki then teleports Surfer away, now that he realizes Loki's plan. Surfer pretty much got the upper hand, and a brief win with Thor being out, with Mjolnir not being accessible, so he would be the winner, but this would go on the amp list as he was amped by Loki's power, while Thor held back. It's also important to note that Thor was stated to be greater both by Loki and by Surfer himself, so take this as you will. The next instance comes from Avengers Annual number 11. When the Defenders were tricked and they set up to fight the Avengers, they enlisted the Silver Surfer's help. While there's not a proper fight, Surfer fires a warning shot that could have slayed Thor, but Thor was explicitly off guard, as well as the other Avengers, who, due to having fought alongside Surfer in the past, were not expecting such an attack. They don't fight afterwards, with the closest thing being Thor's lightning, as he summons it, being somewhat close to Surfer, but it misses, and afterwards both go on to fight different opponents. There's no real winner in this fight, as they don't have a prolonged fight, and the two blasts don't even hit, so this definitely is going to go in the inconclusive section. Now we get into the Blood and Thunder arc, starting with Silver Surfer issue 86. In this arc, Thor goes insane due to Valkyrie, the embodiment of his madness, controlling him. First he fights Beta Ray Bill, and almost finishes him off, before Norn comes in for the save. Thor is especially enraged here, though it's stated not to be a warrior's madness, rather an intense crisis more akin to a peak level of base Thor. However, it is maintained for a prolonged period of time. This would be a level of strength that Thor could normally achieve. In this fight, Thor overpowers Surfer and then tosses Mjolnir at him. Surfer is floored, but gets back up, just to be hit by Thor again. Then, Beta Ray Bill gets up to help Surfer. Surfer bull rushes Thor as he fights Bill, though he's quickly overpowered again. Thor is temporarily stopped by Bill, but he gets back up and attacks a duo, with Bill taking the attack for Surfer. Surfer and Thor then start scrapping, with Thor initially getting the edge, but Surfer hits him with his board. Thor then knocks Surfer down after an attempted bull rush, ending the fight for this issue, as Adam Warlock appears. In the next comic, Surfer is shown to have been down for the count. The winner here is Thor. Then, in Warlock and the Infinity Watch issue 23, Thor begins to fight Warlock, and eventually Surfer gets back up to help him, as they both attack Thor. Thor takes these blasts, and overpowers Warlock, and while Surfer does blast Thor as Warlock retrieves his staff, Thor ends up sending the two flying. Warlock decides that he and Surfer cannot win via physical means, and he attacks Thor with a spiritual attack, but Thor is fine. Surfer blasts Thor again, but does no damage. with Thor restraining Surfer before landing a heavy blow. Thor then knocks Warlock down as well, but before the finishing blow, Warlock summons Norrin's surfboard to hit Thor, as he and Surfer, who temporarily lost consciousness, make their escape. Again, Thor knocked out Surfer for a bit. This is pretty clearly a win for him. Now we get to Mighty Thor number 470. Their last fight in this arc has some additional context, with Thor being amped by the power gem. Here, Thor attacks Surfer and the other heroes, and Doctor Strange comments that despite their numbers, this Thor, due to both his rage and amp, is unstoppable. Thor runs through a few heroes before Surfer manages to make a shield to block one of Thor's attacks, but he's quickly dispatched after. Surfer only gets up with help from Pip, and they are teleported in front of Thanos. Again, Thor got a pretty big edge here, so this will be a win for Thor, but it will only count towards the list that includes additional context. Now we end with a pair of fights from the Galactus Seed story arc. In this arc, Galactus wants to destroy Earth, and as the Asgardians are currently living there, they won't simply let this happen. After Odin rejects Surfer's offer, Thor attacks Surfer from behind. Thor then blocks a blast from Surfer before headbutting him, bruising Thor's head and denting Norrin's. Surfer then hits Thor with his board, as Odin tells Thor to stop, ending their fight. In the next issues, they fight once more, though at this point I should mention that Thor is nerfed from a wound, which he states hurts immensely. As Odin and Galactus start their telepathic battle, Thor throws Mjolnir at Surfer, who strikes Thor with his board. Thor then blitzes past Surfer, striking Galactus. Surfer flies the two to Mars, crashing there, which Surfer admit hurt him, though Thor says he wasn't affected. Thor floors Surfer, saying he will kill him, as Surfer gets back up and blasts him. Thor then swings Mjolnir once more, as it blitzes Surfer, with Surfer striking him with his board once more. Though, this time, Thor tanks it, and the two clash once more, before Lady Sif tells them that more important things are going on, and the two stop fighting. For both of these instances, there's no winner, as both times was interrupted. However, I will say that I do think that Thor would have the edge in the second match, both due to how the events went, as well as Thor being nerfed from his wound. Now, we arrive to our final tally. For the normal list of fair fights, we have 2 wins for Thor, none for Surfer, and 3 inconclusives. For the list containing amps and other additional context, we have 3 wins for Thor, 1 win for Surfer, and 3 inconclusives. This would give Thor the win in this contest. And again, this is not an answer to who would really win in a one-on-one confrontation, as that would include many more factors than just comparing the fights between the two of them, with other scaling, such as how they compare against other characters, being a big factor as well. Thanks for all the support recently. We just crossed 100 subscribers, and I'm glad I could get this video around the time we got that. If you'd like to talk to me, or my friend Auden, another great content creator, he has a new server called the Fully Realized Arena. Both his YouTube channel and this server will be in the description below. Feel free to check them out. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.